Hey guys, we're here to check out Speed's World Cup song. I've been trying to watch this for a long time. I haven't had the time. Just been really busy, but yeah, I saw that, FIFA confirmed it. So that's cool. This is gonna be an official song, so I'm really happy for him. I think last time they in the last one they played it in the stadium, right? So it just shows how much impact he has, you know what I mean? How much global impact he has and everything. And, he's doing his thing, all over the world. He's doing his thing. And yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about this, of course. It's already blown up. But yeah, I've just stayed away from it. I've just tried to stay away from it. I love the last one. The last one was amazing. I really, enjoyed that one. It was super catchy. Everyone in school was singing it. Everyone probably all over the world was singing it. It's gonna be hard to top. It's gonna be hard to top that one, but we'll see. It's speed, so I'm not gonna doubt him or anything. I'm confident, so I'm gonna put the video right here, and yeah, let's just do this. Um, yeah, here we go. World Cup champions. Mm. We're in the Ronaldo, of course. Hey, naming all the nations again like last time. Cape Verde. I love this pronunciations. Last time they were completely far. They were so far out. Nice. Paraguay. Yeah, at least he didn't say Paraguay this time. Susie, you still can't say it. You're okay. I can't. This guy, bro. Alright, going with the Olay. Okay, so it's more like a pop song this time. Alright. Well, the last one was a rap song, but this one's singing. And he's showing some gameplay, alright. Of course, Argentina and Portugal. Of course, Portugal wins. Alright, see? You can kind of sing. Not bad so far. Brazil. He's been all over the world, so it makes sense how he learned to dance. Alright. He has no idea what he's saying. Nice. I feel like he can do that too. I like it, but I don't know. So far, it's not. In my opinion, so far, it's not as good as the last one. But it's not bad. think it's a better anthem for sure. Like to bring everyone together. I feel like the last one was, more generalized. Oh, do we have one more verse?
My chest, I focus my mind. I take a breath and wait for the ref.
Hey, oh, that's his cameraman now.
Put your hands up in the air. This is the World Cup. Put your flags up in the air. This is the World Cup. Everybody come and cheer.
A little bit more of a monotone verse here. Ooh, okay. Okay, this is way better in my opinion. Hey, next up, shout out to everyone who worked on this. Great stuff. All right. That ending part was definitely my favorite part. That was the best part of the song. Also, this is my first time using the mics, so I'm still getting used to the mic and everything. It's kind of late, so I'm not, I'm trying to not be too loud, but I think the final verse was the best part. But I don't know. The rest of the song wasn't great, but I think the last verse, made up for it. The more serious verse and everything, and I still think it, captured everything that the World Cup is about. I think it captured that really well. Obviously the scenery was great. The music video was great. The song was, like I said, it was good enough in my opinion. Um, but yeah, the last verse was great. I'm not, a massive fan of, when they kind of just, repeat the lyrics. I don't know. I feel like he kind of repeated it a little bit too much. He said this is the World Cup for half of the half of the video. That's what he said. But no, it was good. I mean, it sets the stage. You know what I mean? It really emphasizes that this is this is the World Cup. There's nothing else to say. This is the biggest stage that anyone can ever play in. I think that's why he said it. You know what I mean? That's why he repeated it. It showcased all the fans. Obviously, he named all the countries again, which I really like that. I really like how he does that. Obviously, his pronunciation needs work. He gets most of them. But countries like Uruguay and Paraguay, in Tunisia, not great, but I feel like that's what makes me to be is that he's unique and I feel like he does it on purpose. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone knows that it's a character. You know what I mean? And it's entertaining, so you can't even blame him. Um, but yeah, I like how inclusive it was. It included every country. He named all of them. We got to see all the fans of the countries, which was awesome. I wonder where he was. I feel like he probably shot this. Yeah, he definitely shot this in like all types of places, all types of times and stuff in the course of like. I mean, I don't know. He's been traveling for like forever, right? He's been, traveling all over the world. I don't even know when he started, but he's been doing like all of them. He's been doing all the countries. Um, and it's just cool to see. It might have also been for the World Cup. You know what I mean? To kind of just, it worked out. To go to all these countries and get some shots and everything. I think that worked out really well too. And yeah, it was a great representation of the World Cup. It was definitely better than the other ones. Shakira's one has been, I don't know, it's been all right for me. I do think this one was better. It wasn't bad. The Shakira one wasn't bad, but I think Speed's one has to be the one. I think that is the one. I think he did a good enough job, and like I said, the competition. It's not like it was anything crazy. Um, he kind of just had to make a good song, and it would be fine. Everyone would like it because all of the other ones have been horrendous. They've been awful. Um, like I said, Shakira's one was good. I enjoyed it. Obviously, Shakira actually got a bunch of the players to be in it, and he even got or she even got Messi to speak a few words of English. Even though he it definitely looked like he didn't even want to be there, but it's the thought that counts, and that's why I think this is the best one. He included all the countries and everything, and you know, like I said, I just think. Oh, I just realized I didn't even record the audio. Alright, it is what it is. Um, but yeah, I'm just kind of going through the song right now. Obviously, all the shots with families, playing FIFA, or also, even playing indoors. You know what I mean? That I feel like that captured the, World Cup spirit as well. I like how he was wearing a Brazil. he was, he had a Brazil flag. With him. Obviously, Brazil have the most World Cups, so you gotta include Brazil in there. Obviously, he had to wear the Ronaldo number 7 for Portugal. Um, and yeah, even the shots with the kids playing, that was also showing how football is kind of a, I don't know how to explain it, but football is a sport where people come up playing it. You know what I mean? They grow up playing it, and it's not really like a rich, you know what I mean? It's not like a rich sport. You know what I mean? It's kind of just you just go out and play with your friends. You know what I mean? And it could be anywhere. It could literally be anywhere. You just go out and play, and I think it captured that as well. But yeah, more importantly, obviously, you know, it's an anthem. You know what I mean? I think it was a great anthem. It was better than it was more of an anthem than the last one. Like I said, the 2022 one that he did. Um, and yeah, I think everyone's gonna be playing this. Even YouTube commented that it's a it's an instant YouTube anthem, an instant summer anthem. And yeah, I feel like everyone's just gonna be blasting this until the World Cup starts, which is good. I think the last one worked. Like I said in school, it was massive. Mostly everyone was just always singing it, and yeah, it was really catchy. I really enjoyed that one. I don't think, like I said, I don't think this one was as good, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. All that matters is that he makes a song that prepares us for the World Cup, and that's what he did, and he delivered again. And let's just hope he can keep delivering for every World Cup. Obviously he has 19 million views, or I guess 20 now, but wow, it's gaining so many views that by the time I started this and ended this, it gained almost a million views, which is just insane. Um, but yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say. Shout out to Speed. Like I said, he's doing his thing. Doing some awesome things. All over the world. He's honestly one of the most impactful creators. I mean, I don't even think that's a debate. Obviously he hit like I think he hit he hit 50 million, which is just insane. I mean, you gotta wonder when he reaches 100. I feel like it's not even gonna be that long. Because he's growing so quickly. Um, at the same time though, I guess he has kind of done a lot of the world. I don't even know which is left. Has he done Asia yet? I feel like he has, hasn't he? I'm not sure because he's done Europe. Obviously, he did Africa. He did Australia. I feel like he did it right. I guess Oceania. I mean, the continent is. I mean, I thought it was Oceania, but I don't know. I can't remember it. Some people saying it was Australia, but that side of the world with New Zealand and I think it was you have Haiti or not Haiti, Fiji, and that side of the world. I don't think he's done that yet. Oh, South America, of course. Yeah, he did South America. I think that was like the first one, right? Yeah, I think that was the first one that he did. So there's still a little bit to go. I think he's probably gonna wait. Yeah, he's probably gonna wait until after the World Cup. Also during the World Cup, he's gonna go crazy. Of course, he's gonna be going to all the games like he did last time, and it's gonna be great. So I'm really happy for him. This set up the World Cup really well, and yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see what happens during the World Cup.